were completely wrong about this update. And honestly, I think that was intentional, because the moment the real sneak peek appeared, everything changed. This isn't an Eternals update, this isn't a cosmic update, this is a war. Gods versus the God Butcher, and something about this update feels unusually dark. When the sneak peek first dropped, the clues didn't fully make sense. The atmosphere felt strange, almost misleading, and honestly, that might have been intentional. Because now that the real theme has been revealed, everything suddenly feels darker. The Age of Gods faces its reckoning. That line alone already tells you what this update wants to be. Not a celebration, not a heroic expansion, a reckoning. And at the center of it is Gorr. At first I only mentioned Gorr as a possibility, just in passing. I didn't actually think Netmarble would go this direction, but now, looking back at yesterday's predictions, they feel completely wrong. And honestly, that makes this update way more interesting, because this isn't just another random uniform patch. This feels like the beginning of a mythological collapse. Then I went to the forums, and the wording immediately stood out. The noble radiance of divinity spanning since the dawn of time clashes with a massive shadow seeking to devour it all. That's not normal update language. That sounds like the end of an era. And if you know Gorr, then you already understand the implication. This isn't just another villain. This is a character built entirely around hatred toward gods. And the Necrosword, that changes everything. Because the moment the Necrosword appears, the Shadow of Null is always somewhere nearby, even if Null himself isn't part of the update. Then the actual sneak peek started, and immediately one thing became obvious. Odin looks insane. The armor, the spear, the black and crimson design. This doesn't look like old Odin anymore. This looks like a god preparing for extinction. Even the details feel heavier. The wolves on the shoulders, the rough belt, the darker metallic armor. It feels ancient, violent, like Odin knows something terrible is coming. And honestly, the sound effects helped a lot. The entire reveal had this strange, almost apocalyptic atmosphere. Then we saw Valkyrie, and this might actually be more important than people realize, because Valkyrie getting attention now probably means one thing: Tier 4. And at this point, giving uniforms without Tier 4 progression almost feels impossible, especially for characters this relevant, which means Valkyrie might finally evolve beyond support character, and that could become very dangerous, because she was already one of the strongest investments in the game. Now imagine that support scaling into Tier 4 territory. But then, we finally saw Gorr. And honestly, my first reaction was confusion, not because he looked weak, but because something about the render felt off. Almost too smooth, too sharp, like the character model and the background weren't fully matching. But after staring at it longer, I realized the real issue, the framing. The Asgardian scenes had movement, energy, dynamic camera motion. Meanwhile, Gorr was shown almost completely flat, straight toward the viewer, and because of that, the model lost some depth. But the more I looked at him, the more threatening he became. Especially the silhouette, the Necrosword, the pale design, the black shadows. He doesn't look heroic. He looks like a disease spreading through mythology, and honestly, that's exactly what Gorr should feel like. But the most important part of this update might not even be the uniforms. It's what Gorr could become in PvP, because once I started revisiting his kit, I realized something dangerous. Gorr already has the foundation: damage reduction, native pierce resistance, revive, healing, super armor, defense scaling. And if Netmarble modernizes his skills, this character could become terrifying. Because modern PvP Tier 4s are no longer about raw damage, they're about survival loops. And Gorr already has pieces of that system built into him. Which means, this update might not create a balanced PvP character, it might create another monster. And honestly, the timing makes sense, because Netmarble has been systematically upgrading major PvP threats: Sentry, Kang the Conqueror, Mephisto, one after another. And now, it feels like Gorr is next in line, not just to participate in PvP, but to disrupt it. And then there's Odin, which honestly might be the sleeper surprise of the update, because Odin has been in a strange place for a long time, too expensive for casual players, too outdated for meta relevance. But this update, this could completely revive him, and if Odin becomes strong again, that changes a lot. Because Odin isn't just another character, he's one of the original symbols of power in Marvel Future Fight. Seeing him return to relevance would feel almost nostalgic, but also dangerous, because native Tier 3 characters scaling into modern standards usually creates insane stat inflation. But honestly, there's a bigger issue here, and it's something the community has been feeling for months. The game desperately needs new content. Not just new uniforms, not just stronger characters, actual change, new world bosses, new dispatch sectors, new GBR systems, something. Because right now, the game keeps introducing stronger and stronger characters without evolving the battlefield around them, and eventually, that creates stagnation. Still, I can't deny this update feels interesting, not because of the power creep, not because of the uniforms, but because of the atmosphere. This update feels darker than usual, like Marvel Future Fight is leaning into mythology, collapse, and extinction. And honestly, that makes Gorr the perfect centerpiece. Because Gorr was never designed to simply defeat gods, he was designed to make them afraid. And if Netmarble gets this update right, the PvP meta might be next.